Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm gonna talk about Tower of Glitching and Healing. A tower that I'm grinding right now to beat. And why I play it so I don't get bored. I'm just gonna review this tower, you know. Just for fun, I guess. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get started. So this tower was in Ring 5 since 2019, I think. This tower has a quite funny history. So the creator Etoh made a ton of Ring 5 towers since they were developer, I guess. But if you look at Ring 3 to 6, 7 also, Etoh has a tower in every of these rings. And every single one of these, even though they weren't really an owner at some point, never. But they basically made like 5 towers in this area or worked on one. But the thing is about this tower that it really didn't get any stars since it got just randomly added. So Etoh had access to the Ring 5 place, I think. And I only heard that, I think, on the wiki. But apparently Etoh just randomly placed this tower in game after finishing it up. Which is kind of funny, since this tower, which means that this tower never got reviewed. But then at one point, the tower used corner flips and was also one of the first ones to do so. Corner as clips and flips, sorry. It also introduced glitch wraps, which are also kind of cool for this tower, I guess. Which is also why they are used throughout the entire tower. Sadly though, around somewhere in 2021, if I remember correctly, or 2022, Roblox patched corner clipping, which meant that this tower got like impossible at one point, because you couldn't, you know, beat this tower obviously due to corner clips not working anymore, which meant that this tower had to be nerfed by the developer team to be intense, and then after some time they made it remorseless. And I forgot to say that, to tell that this used to be an insane. And before Icy Blizzard came out, yeah, this tower was basically just, the second soul crushing in the tower in this area. But you can still press this button to play the original version with the corner flips. Corner clips, sorry. Because now you just need to press F, but back then you need to do, you know, the corner clips. Now it's just pressing F on most ones. Anyway, yeah. So this tower has an interesting history, of course. And yeah. So this used to be insane, which is one of the reasons why this tower is so unbalanced. Because, you know, like, a lot of floors just have gameplay that is not in the slightest remorses. And this was because this tower used to be insane. Which, you know, is kind of funny, I guess. Which means that this tower is, you know, for your grind nowadays, not the best thing, I guess. Since you kind of, you know, will struggle with this if you do this as your first remorseless. At least I'm kind of struggling, since this uses a lot of glitch that remorseless towers, especially bottom remorseless towers, don't really have. But the good part about but yeah, this tower is also quite punishing at the end, with basically every floor having a soft lock besides like 4 floors due to the B-sides. Yeah, which is also why this frame is kind of wacky, you know. It has like that smaller tower behind it, which is basically just the, like, of the first 5 floors, but just smaller, which are the B-sides, which will soft lock you, most of them at least. So yeah, let's just start talking about the tower's music first of all. This was the first time a tower really used like music that's kind of also in GD a lot, like mostly. I know there's also Tower of Obvious Chaos which use Creole music, but I think these two towers are pretty similar. This tower basically just used music that's mostly famous because of GD. Of course it used some other songs as of the first two floors we can see, and floor 5, 6, and you know the other floors. Even though you know it only has a few GD songs, I guess, with the ones being floor 4's 2011 by Cold Breaks, and I think floor 3 song also is in GD, at least pretty popular, and floor 10 song. At least these were made by Newground artists, which of course their music is gonna be in GD if they put it into Newground. But yeah, this was also the first time we saw the GD community and Etoh community kind of like be together in this ring. Of course, we had songs from GD or that were popular in GD, like in Tough Rage from 7 to 9. But yeah, I like the Star soundtrack. It really goes hard, and it feels like a mix between pop and I don't know, video game music, which is something you don't really see that much, to be honest. So yeah, this tower is pretty cool. It definitely has fire music, like on this floor right now, on the song that you're hopefully hearing. But there's also floor 4 song is pretty good, and basically just everything after floor 4 is a song that I really like. In my opinion, this is one of the best soundtracks in this area, maybe even in the entire game. This is just personal bias though. So yeah, let's just start talking about the gameplay, I guess. So the gameplay in this tower is pretty different than most towers that were made at the time and up to that point. You know, this tower really has this cool kind of rotated style of gameplay, which I really enjoy, to be honest. This looks pretty pleasant for the eyes. I also kind of, you know, this gameplay also, of course, is heavily relying on kill bricks and glitches, which I don't mind too much, I guess, besides the wall hops, which are really annoying. Besides that, this floor, the gameplay is pretty okay, I guess. It also uses a lot of corner clips and E-dance clips, which is also why this tower is, you know, pretty weird. And I recommend that you do this tower if you're not that good with glitching or really good with glitching, since this is gonna improve your glitching skills a lot, especially wall hops and dance clips, as well as corner clips and flips. No, depends on what type of version you do. Of course, this also teaches you health management, because yeah, this tower has some weird parts though. But yeah, but like the first two floors are like kind of fine. They're okay. They're like a introduction. Floor 1 is mostly just filled with kill breaks, and floor 2 just has a lot of. It's like the beginning of the glitches, where you see some E-dance clips, as well as, you know, here the corner flips and glitch raps, which are pretty common in this tower. You're mostly just gonna see these glitches. Of course, it still used a bit of kill breaks, but floor 3 is the first time we get introduced to a more weirder gameplay style. In my opinion, floor 3 is really bad. I don't really like it, to be honest. Like, the floor just has like really awkward jumps in the beginning, especially on the first inside part. It's just, you know, really bad. It also, but the thing that also this floor 3 has is the first outside of the tower, which there are gonna be a few, I guess. For soul crushing, this definitely has a lot of outsides, since all the soul crushings that came out up to this point were at least had like 2 outsides or something like that, and this one has around 4. It definitely shares like I think a similar record to TOFN, which is, you know, which has also some outsides, I guess. But yeah, all the other soul crushings were had like only 3 outsides max, and these were TOC and TUI. So yeah, I guess it's kind of cool about this tower. Yeah, but floor 3 is pretty bad. You basically just start with like these conveyor jumps, which you kind of need to practice. But then after some e-dance clips and stuff like that, you get to that like low ceiling jump to like the corner clip. And that one is really bad. It's like this one, like this structure with like the blue texture before like the jump to that structure is really bad. To like this low ceiling thing, you just really need to do an awkward jump, which is really terrible and not fun at all, and also kind of unfair for a remorseless tower, in my opinion. But yeah. After that, we get onto floor 4, which is definitely a more I would say that floor 4 isn't really too special. We have some like hanging platforms, I guess, in the beginning. But yeah, this is really, that floor is really similar to 2IE in my opinion. Also features a huge kill break spinner with ice gameplay, which you know is kind of creative, I guess. I think floor 4 is kind of a fun floor in my opinion. If you know, if at least in my opinion, you know, this tower's getting kind of shit on, but I don't really mind most of the gameplay in this tower. Of course, floor 4 and 6 are some of my least favorite floors. Anyways, after floor 4, we get into another like more unique floor than the last two floors, which just had, you know, pretty simple gameplay, and they were really similar to the rest of the tower. Yeah, basically it just had a lot of tight ropes, but the beginning is pretty similar to the first two floors. But then we get onto that onto a huge cylinder, which is again really similar to 2IE. Also, the funny thing is the frame color looks exactly like floor 7, as well as the music being the same on floor 7 on 2IE, which makes me and some other people believe that this tower is inspired by the Tower from Positive Expectations, which in my opinion is a good thing, since I like that tower. But you can debate if you like that amount, if you know. But then we like that huge cylinder just features gameplay and spinner gameplays, jailbreak and spinner gameplay, so it's really not that special. It's pretty unique, I guess, but it's also not that insane. After it has around like 5 layers, and each of them is like pretty simple. The hardest one is, in my opinion, the first one. But yeah, then we get onto floor 6, which has the continuation of the, you know, cylinder, which is kind of a cool thing, I guess. It's kind of cool that we see that structure being used in floor 5 as well as 6. Well, after that, this tower basically just, you know, we get to floor 6, which immediately starts with an outside after we get onto a platform of a spinner, and you know, that part is pretty okay, I guess. It just features some basic corner flip gameplay, in my opinion. It's just really simple, not that much special. Oh yeah, I forgot one thing about floor 4. We get introduced to these type of jumps, which are actually really similar to corner village wraps. But yeah, after we finish off the outside, we get a small net on the cylinder from floor 5 and 6, and you know, that is also kind of a cool thing. And trust me, that's gonna be one of the few that this tower has. Anyway, yeah, after that, we basically just, okay, I'm on floor 5. Anyway, after that, we get onto the, you know, like, we do some wall hops, which is also the first time we get introduced to wall hops. But definitely, floor 6 to 8 is a big challenge and a big spike in difficulty too, in my opinion, since it definitely features not the easiest type of gameplay. But you won't really struggle that much with floor 6 if you're okay with wall hopping and you are able to do that one jump after the first 2 wall hops. But yeah, that jump is kind of odd with like the glitching and stuff like that. Yeah, what is there left for on that floor? After that, you just do a wall hop, and you're on floor 7. Floor 7 is definitely also not that interesting. The memorable parts of that floor are kind of just the cubic wall hop, which isn't too bad, I guess, if you... Because you can still go into like a safe position, I guess. But yeah, after that you get onto floor 8, which is in my opinion one of the hardest floors of the entire tower. Why? Because that floor has a lot of wall hops, glitches, and the outside. So the beginning of floor 8 is quite simple actually. It just features, you know, some more kind of different style of ramps than you're used to compared to the rest of the tower. But then we get on to the, yeah, outside, which is definitely not that good. This is definitely the part where the tower kind of gets a bit worse. Even though it's still kind of fast, like, you know, that thing of, you know, the spinner part of this floor. But it's still not that much cool, I guess, because it's definitely without the kill break spinners. Anyway, yeah. What is there left? Oh yeah, after that you just go back on the inside after some pretty tricky wall hops. And that's it with the rest of the floor, since the rest is quite simple in my opinion. Yeah, after that you get a quick trip to floor 9, where you need to press a button and then you get sent to the B side, which is basically just this entire structure. Yeah, the B side, it's definitely one of the harder parts of this tower, which is also the main reason why a lot of people seem to struggle with this tower, since the B side just has a lot of punishing gameplay, and second of all, it's really late so in the tower, so you could still choke. Yeah. Let me practice a bit of these wall hops. Okay, yeah, let me continue explaining. Basically, the B-side just has really similar gameplay to the, just, you know, basic gameplay with glitch raps, corner clips, dance clips. It's just really simple, I guess. But then we get on to the final floor, where we then get teleported to floor 9 after this huge net, which is the last net that you will have for this tower. Because the rest is basically just 2 floors, okay? Floor 9 is quite easy actually, just having a lot of tight ropes and that's it. But also, in my opinion, has one of the best songs in this tower. Like, seriously, man, okay. This wall hop is scary. Okay. Well, then you just get to floor 10, which is, again, a pretty straightforward floor. It just has a lot of wall hops and glitch raps. But then you get to the B side of the last 2 floors. And that's again where the story gets a bit more wacky, I guess. Floor 10 has a few outsides and in the B side and stuff like that. But it's not that hard. But floor 9 is a one final test of stress, due to it having a soft lock being this late in the tower. Once you've done some pretty simple jumps after that though, you're done with this soft lock part, and there's basically nothing stopping you from the, you know, from the wind pad. Which is also, yeah, kind of epic, I guess. Having a pretty hard part this late in the tower. But it can also cause you to choke, which is not the best feeling, I guess, if you choke in a section as scary and challenging as this. You know, let's talk about the design. I think this has pretty good design for not being a themed tower. Again, as I said, I like the rotated style of gameplay in this tower. Oh my god, that was so close. Nice. Good. Anyway, yeah. The design is pretty decent in this tower, I would say, especially for, again, as not being a themed tower. This has some nice classic design, you know. I don't really mind this too much. It's pretty decent, actually. The only bad parts are kind of a bit of Z fighting issue and some parts of the tower. But besides that, this is actually pretty decent design for its time. You know, after that, we basically have nothing more left to say about this tower. Oh yeah, another thing I would, I guess, talk about in this video was the creativity of this tower, which again, I think is pretty good. The glitching thing really wasn't that big at the time in Etoh, which is nice that we see something like that. Okay, first time on floor 7. Okay! Yeah, that's it with this review. I failed floor 7, I guess. That was kind of an embarrassing fail, but I gotta go anyway, so yeah. See you next time, and bye. Oh yeah, let me give my final rankings. The gameplay gets, in my opinion, a 5. You know, I'm gonna be nice. A 6 out of 10. The design definitely gets, for its time, a 5 out of 10, I guess. And the creativity gets a 7 out of 10, which makes this basically have 18 out of 30 as a review, which is a fail, I guess, but it's not that bad for a Ring 5 tower. So yeah, that's it. See you next time, and bye. Arbus is out.